Hello viewer, my name is Asad Siddiqui. Ladies and gentlemen, today, I would like to talk to you about the new Burnswick Critical Pilot Program. Step 1. Determine eligibility. The first step to immigrating to Canada through the new Brunswick Critical Worker Pilot Project is to determine if you are eligible. This program is open to certain types of workers who meet the criteria for critical worker status, such as those in the healthcare, long-term care, and construction sectors. To be eligible, you must have a job offer from an employer in New Brunswick in one of the targeted occupations, and meet certain language, education, and work experience requirements. To determine if you qualify for the program, you should review the eligibility criteria and the list of targeted occupations on the Government of New Brunswick's website. You should also review the language, education, and work experience requirements to ensure that you meet the necessary qualifications. If you are unsure whether you qualify, you can consult with a licensed immigration consultant or lawyer to help you determine your eligibility. Step 2. Gather required documents. Once you have determined that you are eligible, the next step is to gather all of the necessary documents required for the application. This will include your passport and any other identification documents, educational certificates, language test results, if any, work references, and police clearance certificates. It is important to ensure that all of your documents are up to date, accurate, and translated into English or French, if necessary. You should also make sure that you have copies of all of your documents, as you will need to submit both the original and a copy with your application. Step 3. Submit an expression of interest. The next step is to submit an expression of interest, EOI, to the New Brunswick government. The EOI is a form that outlines your qualifications and why you should be considered for the program. In your EOI, you should include information about your work experience, education, and language proficiency, as well as your job offer and other relevant details. The EOI process is conducted on a regular basis, and the eligible candidates who have been selected will be invited to submit a full application for a provincial nomination. Step 4. Receive an invitation to apply. If your EOI is accepted, you will receive an invitation to apply for a provincial nomination. The invitation will include instructions on how to complete the provincial nomination application and submit the required documents. Step 5. Submit a provincial nomination application. The next step is to submit a provincial nomination application, including all required documents, to the New Brunswick government. The application should include information about your work experience, education, and language proficiency, as well as your job offer and other relevant details. It is important to ensure that all of the information in your application is accurate and that you have provided all of the required documents. Failure to do so could result in your application being delayed or denied. Step 6. Receive a provincial nomination. If your application is approved, you will receive a provincial nomination, which will allow you to apply for permanent residence in Canada. The nomination certificate will include the details of the occupation you have been nominated for. Step 7. Submit a permanent residence application. After receiving your nomination, you will be able to submit a permanent residence application to the federal government of Canada, along with all the required documents and the provincial nomination certificate. The application process will require you to complete a medical examination, provide police clearance certificates, and pay the processing fees. You will also be required to submit your biometrics, which includes fingerprints and photographs. You can do this at a designated service point or through an online process. Step 8. Receive a permanent residence visa. If your application is approved, you will receive a permanent residence visa, which will allow you to enter Canada as a permanent resident. With this visa, you will be able to live and work anywhere in Canada, and eventually apply for Canadian citizenship. Step 9. Enter Canada. Before entering Canada, you will need to make sure that you have all of the required documents, including your permanent residence visa, passport, and any other identification documents. You should also make sure that you have made arrangements for your housing and transportation in Canada, as well as for any family members who will be accompanying you. Once you have arrived in Canada, you will be required to go through a landing interview with an immigration officer, during which you will need to present your documents and answer any questions about your background and plans in Canada. Step 10. Obtain a social insurance number, SIN. After landing in Canada, one of the first things you need to do is to apply for a social insurance number, SIN. Our SIN is a 9-digit number that you will need in order to work, pay taxes, and receive government benefits. To apply for a SIN, you will need to present your permanent residence visa, passport, and any other identification documents at a Service Canada office. You will also need to provide proof of your address in Canada, such as a lease or utility bill. Step 11. Find employment. The next step is to find employment in your field of expertise. Once you have a job, you will be able to start contributing to the Canadian economy and gain valuable experience in your field. It is important to remember that even though you have a permanent residence visa, you will still need to renew it every 5 years. To do this, you will need to demonstrate that you have met the residency requirement by living in Canada for at least 730 days out of every 5 years. Step 12. Apply for Canadian citizenship. After being a permanent resident for at least 3 years, you will be eligible to apply for Canadian citizenship. To apply, you will need to take a citizenship test and pass a language test if required. If you pass, you will be able to take the oath of citizenship and officially become a Canadian citizen. This is a general outline of the process for immigrating to Canada through the new Brunswick Critical Worker Pilot project with no IELTS. It's important to keep in mind that this process can change over time, so it's best to keep an eye on the official government website and seek help from immigration consultants or lawyers if needed. Please keep in mind that the information provided here are general guidelines. It's always advisable to check the latest immigration rules and regulations on the official website of Government of Canada for any updates or changes. Please don't forget to subscribe us and like and share our channel. It will motivate us to keep you posted amazing videos and information 24/7. Thank you.